Hello, it's Andrew again at Gongs Unlimited, and we have here today Max and also Joshua, and we are going to be doing sort of body diagnostics and healing with this beautiful earth-tuned tuning fork. These are powerful, heavy beasts that really communicate a beautiful tone when lightly tapped. Just so you can kind of hear. It's always kind of odd when you're working in a recording studio with these kind of things, which are very present in real life, but sometimes the mics don't get them. Max, how would you describe like how much you're getting from a tone of that?
I can definitely hear it. I can feel it when it's close. It's a nice warm tone. It's clear.
Yeah, when you get closer to your ears, you definitely hear this. So it's very loud.
I can hear it from there too.
Yeah, different kind of tones.
Gentle, but you can hear it and feel it.
Yeah. Very nice. Okay, what we're going to do with this as a tuning fork is, suppose you have a client there, they could be laying on the floor too, whatever, and you want to kind of use sound to diagnose something that might be going on in their energy field, their aura, their physical thing. And you can kind of use this sort of as a diagnostic tool, let's just say waving around. I'm going to kind of see what I find in Max's energy. I already know about certain things, so I'm not going to look for those because Max works here and I know about Max. So I'm not looking for the things I know about Max. I'm looking for something else, as if he was a client that just came in. So excuse me if I get in your way. And Max, if you notice any kind of energy charge come up, you can notice it too. Now, Max, do you notice anything when I'm starting to hold it down around here? Oops, sorry.
Base of the spine.
Yeah.
A little tingly, warm feeling.
Well, there are a couple things I noticed. And you can use your own intuition when you're working with someone like this. And it doesn't always have to be a giant tuning fork. And there's a lot of what I would call, from a spiritual level, like a desire to take another big step or a change in life, and then there's a lot of energy holding Max back from that. So that's a spiritual level I'm noticing there. But then if I go over here, and you said lower back, it's interesting because I was right around here, and I noticed, and this is not a medical diagnosis, but I'm just looking at the energy of like the kidneys is a little weak. So if you were an acupuncturist, you'd probably know exactly what do you call it, a meridian to put your little needles into. But we're not acupuncturists, but what we are is we have a giant tuning fork. So, so what I'm going to do is go, and then I'm going to kind of hold it by that area that I'm noticing. And I'm just going to kind of let it go there. And then as I watch it, I notice it is connected to your spine, Max. It might be, as I'm doing this, you know how sometimes chiropractors will tell you if the bone is out, that it affects other things. And I definitely could see, as I'm holding it there and watching the energy go, yeah, there's a little compression in the spine there, and it's causing some stress to the nerves going to the kidneys. This is just loosening up a little. Again, I'm diagnosing. I'm not a chiropractor. I'm not an acupuncturist. So they could probably do something different, but what we're doing is moving the energy a little.
You can feel it, sort of the sensation that I felt when you were here. And when you first started here, it like shot down to the base of the spine, and then when you were here, it could feel it activated. And then as you've been doing this, it sort of has moved up to here, sort of more in the solar plexus, on the either side of the solar plexus, kind of in the back and the front.
And that's great, because if your client's telling you that, then I can go, okay, don't mind me, I'm going to put this kind of right around there. actually, then I follow it and I go, oh, look up here. I was going to work the Kundalini channels today, but I decided let's just do that kind of stuff. And it's interesting because I can tell you something. The spiritual and the body are related, because that stuff here, when I saw we started doing this, you've been having struggles to get more energy in to take your next steps. And so that's related. It's spirit and body is related. Joshua, have you noticed anything back there?
Yeah, I don't know if it's all the wonderful lights on that highly polished aluminum. It's beautiful, but it was one of the most vivid energy experiences for me to see you shaping the waves around him, distorting space around his body, and then almost like a smokiness rolling off.
Yeah, the stuff that's stuck.
Yeah.
And again, I'm not using my energy to give my healing. I'm putting this through like 4. No, that would be silly because my energy in Max's space is not going to work for him. I'm just doing this to try to taking the power that's in this fork, the sound. Okay, so yeah, now this thing's right, and I see like a lot of what I'm going to do here. There's a lot of like things spinning in his guts and that kind of stuff. I don't mean food, but just energy. And to avoid Max getting an upset tummy, we're going to kind of work on that a little bit.
I did have some indigestion while we were playing.
Yeah. Probably knew that this was going to start happening. And now, I'm going to do a little bit around his feet because it has to do with your next step. And literally, here's the fun part. Sometimes people, I got to take my next step. I got to go further my path. It literally connects to the feet chakras and where you can go. And since there's some energy there, there. Now, I could do this for a long time, but we're here on camera, and I want to get to you before the next commercial happens. I am going to then take the final step like we did in the previous parts about bringing energy in. We're going to connect Max here with the notes to some nice higher energy that's his. And what's coming out is just a lot of stuff coming out of his head. That's just like people say, oh, you can't do that. Oh, you can't do this. You can't do that. Oh, this is a mess. That's a mess. All that stuff, things that get in the way of you actually moving forward. You notice anything, Joshua?
Yeah, and I was going to say, you mentioned the foot chakra.
Yeah.
That's something I've been noticing all along since you've been going. But that I can feel, I can hear the sound,
Right.
more than most tuning forks, at a distance. But I could feel it in my feet. Like you get that feeling from a gong because of the vibration. But there's something there that I was really feeling in my foot.
Right. And also, here's an interesting thing, folks. If you know how to do it right, you give a healing, you get a healing. So if we're working on someone here, you could be, if you have matching things when you're watching this at home or at work, if you have matching energy blocks, as Max does, it's going to ignite in you. It's going to light up. You're going to feel it in like your feet, as he did, or feel it somewhere else where maybe Joshua's working on something similar. All right, so now I'm just going to basically kind of do a little blessing because that's what they may God carry you, Max, easily and fully to your next step so that your feet walk on the path that you and God have chosen. And there you go. That was a little Max healing.
All right.
Not bad. And now we're gonna bring Joshua. Who knows what Joshua's gonna do? Now, I just want to be clear, this is not like Chipotle. I'm not going to keep doing healing after healing. You can't just say, hey, can I get a little more third chakra in there? But we have 2 people here. Now, Joshua, I know some stuff about Joshua, but I'm not looking at that. I always like to go, what else am I going to find? I mean, I know about Joshua. I know about Max. I don't know about you. You don't know about them. So let's see what we find. Again, I'm not trying to be too invasive or anything. It's I literally have a scanner here. Let's see how it scans. Joshua's ready for this healing, I can tell you that.
Ready. I need some healing.
See, sometimes it just tells you where to stop. So I'm going right here. I just went stop right here. What's going on? So I'm like, oh, okay. It's like a big ball of black energy, but black and brown and kind of like, not like cool black energy like a t-shirt. It's more like a gnarly bunch of gray, like old volcanic stuff. Find out about that. And here I'm noticing like kind of there's something missing. It's empty. It's empty-headed. Yeah. Now, Joshua, what are you feeling when I'm doing this?
I feel you pulling on my joints, the spaces between the bones. I feel like there's these strings pulling, like when you were talking about whatever you found in the emptiness behind my head. I felt the base of my neck getting kind of like pulled up. Yeah.
What I'm doing this with intention. It's not just sound, but it's the intention. Sound is going, all right, well, let's, Joshua's basically looking for sort of a new inspiration, new light, new energy to fill a space. And there's a lot of muck there. If I look at Joshua, there's part of Joshua back there, there's part of Joshua over here, there's part of, he's involved in like 4 or 5 battles. And this in particular one, this one right here, this is kind of bright, you see if it's kind of dissipating now. The great thing about this is just dissipating through the sound. A lot of his girlfriend's battles. I know a little bit about that, but I'll just, But here, it's an interesting thing, because it was like, here's an interesting thing. Max, I'm going to talk about an interesting thing. Suppose you were a warrior in a past life. Suppose you've done something in this life. Maybe you got in a fight in a bar or whatever, not that he has, but I'm just saying, and all of a sudden you go like, I want to be good. I never want to cause any pain. I don't want to be in a fight anymore. I'm going to have a prayer to God, like never put me in a situation that I'm going to have to express my anger or if I do. And you suppose you have that prayer up, right? And then suddenly God goes, well, that's a silly prayer to say never, because you're going to get into a lot of fights. So then you can't actually bring yourself into your body to do those fights if you need them. Not every fight is necessary or conflict. So then you get spread all around and you have all these things and you're just going to be, I'm just going to be, and we've all been there who've been through a few spiritual lifetimes, I'm just going to be the most perfect monk or spirit because I saw the picture that, to be perfect you must be this way. And then you just get all thrown around. So now, Max, what do you notice as I'm starting to move his energy around back here?
Most of what I'm noticing is what I'm personally feeling at the same time, and I've been feeling mostly behind me in this sort of between the sort of, I guess, second and third chakra area.
Sorry.
Behind me, and then also just sort of up above my right shoulder behind me, sort of along my neck. And I'm not sure if it's residual from mine or what, but I was feeling it really hot almost when you were in front of him there. I was feeling it here. And so I'm kind of feeling that moving around as you're moving it around.
And this is called matching energy. When you're around a healing like this, it's going to charge up some. We did work on the similar spaces, but those 2 places, his is right there, this is kind of broken up a lot. And now this is coming down to the final bit of karma here, where you were like, I must never again be considered the angry, vindictive, whatever person from whatever lifetime. This is kind of going, and God's just smiling, going, it's keeping you from using your strength. There's unfortunately, we have to get into, a battle or fight. So that's coming out, and it is on his right shoulder. You didn't say your right shoulder, because it is right here. This is, thank you for that actually, because now I'm seeing it. The right shoulder right here, there is this, a lifetime where Josh killed a guy in a fight. And he was like, not going to do that ever again. And there's all this tension, there's all this non-forgiveness of himself for having lost it. So we're just going to put it right on here. Whoop, and then look, it just started whoosh. And this is kind of fun because Josh's Akashic record keeper's coming down to help him take that out. And the Akashic record keepers, we all have these, like, actually very amused. He goes, if you didn't get rid of this, you were going to end up killing yourself from this fighting yourself to not have your own aggression or whatever. Because basically you're going to, the tension he had of not allowing his warrior self, that's all I'm going to call it. There's nothing wrong in being a warrior. Was going to, yeah. And so now, here's the funny part. God's very amused. People think that God can be a very amused creator. He's kind of going down and kind of just blessing this whole area. He goes, you've learned, so you're not going to go, go get into a fight out of malice or killing someone or anything. You're just going to, he goes, and there's a lot of grace coming down. I'm just going to hold it here and let the grace come down. The funny part is, and this is, I've done this, we've all done this, he goes, you've been a really good job of beating up yourself. You've been beating, it's like, I'm not going to beat anyone else up. I'm just going to beat myself up. We've all done it, I can tell you. Yeah. And now, well, this is fun. You don't always see this in a video, Matt. Jesus is coming down. Jesus is coming down, and he's just giving you a big hug, and he's like, let me have the stress of having to be perfect come out. He goes, yeah. He goes, people think I was perfect. They put this big image up of Jesus was perfect, but he goes, that's how you keep yourself separate from growing. Well, I can never be like Jesus. I'm not saying we're like being like, I can never be evolved enough because I'm not perfect enough, or I can never have God's grace because I'm not perfect enough. It's a great game on this planet. We do it all. There, and he's coming in and he's going to meet you later on the astral, give you a really good healing. This is the stuff just for the camera. Then you get other healings later. It's good. And we're going to go, and he's like, going, one more for this. I'm going to do the same thing. I always like to use these, a real beautiful way to communicate and set the energy, because people like to have a talisman. It's okay. Tuning. May it be with the blessings of God, the Supreme Being, that healing, it runs deep and runs true, and you regain more and more of your strength as a soul and a spirit. Yeah. And you just held up your hand, Josh, to get that healing. Great. Coming to you from Gongs Unlimited, 2 great healings, one for Josh, one for Max. I'm glad you could participate in this. Please watch it again and see what you get from the healing. We're happy to be helping here, trying to mix a little bit of sound and a little bit of spirit together. What would it be? Spound it? Spirit town? I don't know, but we're trying to mix them both. So thank you.